So there's this book that I've been rereading called Cybernetics. I read it around a year and a half ago, and I found it useful enough to where I should reread it. So right now I'm rereading it, learning a ton of new stuff from it, which I'll make videos on later. But one of the main things which that book taught me, where it didn't just teach me something, it completely changed my mindset and it changed the way that I look at things, was this realization I had whilst reading the book, which this is what I realized. In life, especially in social situations, when you're a guy who has a lot of anxiety, a lot of social anxiety, who tends to have anxiety before going to, for example, a birthday or a party or anywhere social or having to speak with any people, in all of those cases, like in 100% of the cases, you are stressing out not because there really is a reason for you to stress out and to be anxious. You are just the only reason you're stressed out is because you are making yourself anxious and stressed out by imagining the worst case scenario. For example, you're supposed to go to a party. You're arriving late, so you're going to be the last one to arrive. When you arrive, you start having anxiety because you instantly think you're going to walk in there, you're like, everyone's going to look at you, your zipper's going to be opened or something, and everyone's going to laugh at you. It's going to be a super awkward situation. But what always happens? You go to the party, birthday, wherever, you walk in there, and no one even notices you. Or people notice you, but nothing awkward happens, and the party just keeps moving forward. Or in any other situation in life, usually social ones, at least that's how it was in my case, but right before any social situation, I would instantly get anxiety thinking, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? I would instantly start, overthinking it in my head. And it got to the point where I wouldn't go into social situations and I wouldn't speak to people unless I specifically knew exactly, like in my head, like the exact words I was gonna say and the exact way that I was gonna act in case of a certain outcome, that outcome usually being something really bad or awkward. What I realized was that every single time when I would go to the social event or to whichever event I was anxious about, the exact thing which, I would have considered the best case scenario to be would happen just naturally without me even trying. Like, let's say, again, the example, you're walking into a party and you think everyone's gonna look at you and whatever. It's like you walk into the party, no one even notices you. Best case scenario happens. Or you're supposed to go speak to some new person, meet some new person. You think it's gonna be awkward, it's gonna be awkward silence. You go, you speak to them, and it just turns out that the conversation ends up being really great. What I realized was that in life, maybe it's like a way of the universe, or maybe it's just something that like it's just the way that we people function, us humans function, where everyone's kind of trying to avoid awkward situations, and it's like everyone is just working in coherence to have every social situation be as just natural and not awkward as possible. But what I realized was that any situation that you go on that you're stressful about or anxious about, the best case scenario will always happen. And the awkward, anxious, whatever worst case scenario that you're imagining almost never happens. The only way, or the only way, and the only time it does happen is if you specifically stress yourself out, scare yourself so much because of that, imagine it so much in your head, stress yourself out that you end up making it come true by your own actions. Literally, if you just go into, let's say again, the party, and you just act natural and you're not thinking about anything, it's gonna go great. But if you're over here anxious and you're scared that it's gonna go really badly, a lot of the times, most of the times, you'll just be scared for a few hours before the party. You'll go to the party and you'll realize that everything went really well and there was nothing to be afraid of. Or you'll go there and you'll be so anxious and whatnot, you'll end up doing or saying something awkward and making it awkward in the first place. Like, making it awkward. Even though if you literally just did nothing and you didn't stress out, the situation would have played out perfectly. You stressing out, being anxious, is what made the worst case scenario that you were anxious about actually happened. That's the realization that I had, which was so crazy because now every time I go into like a social party, whatever, social event or anything, I have to do anything social. Even if it's something as simple, like stuff as simple as going to the shop, like buying some stuff. I used to kind of think in my head, like have a little bit of anxiety that what's gonna happen, and try to like basically plan out exactly what I was gonna say and what I was gonna do. Now I just go to the shop without even thinking because I know that as long as I'm just going with the flow, everything is gonna go as it should. Nothing's gonna be awkward, nothing's gonna be, no mistakes are gonna happen. It's just gonna be the exact thing that it needs to be. I'll go to the shop, buy whatever, and I'll go home, and it won't be awkward. And I think that the reason we have, some of us, or at least people similar to me, have this same experience where we have so much anxiety before going to these social events. I think it can also be even, it can also happen even if it's not something social, but I think it a lot of the times happens when in social events. It's just because through our childhoods, we've basically gotten all of our social skills or any level that we should have risen to in our social skills during our earlier lives. So any training, training of social skills like going and meeting people and playing with some other kids from the neighborhood, all of that kind of gets stolen from us by these social media, video game companies. Because imagine your 7-year-old self, 8-year-old self. You don't know about self improvement. You don't know that you should go speak to people now, level up your social skills because it's gonna pay in dividends and come really useful down the line, like years down the line. Like, it's way easier to just stay home and watch YouTube videos all day, watch PewDiePie all day, like I used to do, than it is to actually go and speak to people. Because it's kind of hard, it's kind of uncomfortable, it kind of tends to be boring. Like this, you're just looking at your phone and boom. And what happens 10 years later? Now you have anxiety before any social occasion. It's such a shame, like, that these video game companies, they made video game and social media and everything, they made them so addictive. They made these things so easy to use. They made them so addictive that they basically stole our kind of social parts of our childhood, or at least in my case, where it was like for such a long time for self improvement. My life was go to school, come back, go to school, talk to like my 3 friends that I had, come home, and just like watch PewDiePie all day and play some video games. And I missed out on all of the meeting people and hanging out with different people and improving my social skills. That's why now I need to catch up on that skill now when I'm 19 years old. So that's just something to keep in mind. Your action step for this video would be next time you're stressing out before some sort of social occasion, just remember that as long as you don't, just remember that 99.9% of the cases, it's gonna go in the best case scenario. In the natural case, just everything's gonna flow naturally. There's nothing to stress out about. If you found this video helpful, I think you'll find a lot of value in this video right here. Click on the subscribe button and do the work.